Hello, youth ministers. Good morning. I am sharing with you today a little introductory on the Zoom platform. Last night we had a little technical difficulty and I wasn't able to access my own screen, but today I am. So I am recording just a short, quick little video for you to watch. Of course, there are some awesome demonstrations online to get started. What I'm going to share with you today is a little bit about what I have found to be very helpful so that you can set up something very quickly and then be able to use it with your kiddos. First of all, if you will notice, I'm sharing our screen. I am actually on the informational Zoom screen. The first thing I want to show you is you set up an account. Under my account right here, you will see that I have an account set up. For a long time, we used just the free account, and that is awesome, and that might be something that you probably want to use for a while. The only drawback to that is that it only allows you 40 minutes on each meeting or get together. So you just want to make sure that if you're not over that 40 minutes, just the free service is awesome. If not, if you'll go up here to prices and planning, I will show you really quickly. The basic service is free. It will host up to 100 participants, which is perfect usually for any of our youth ministry programs. There's unlimited meetings, one-on-one meetings, and then there's a 40-minute limit on group meetings. There's an unlimited number of meetings that you can hold. So if you held one every night or every week or every month, that shouldn't be a problem. There are many neat features with that. The only additional thing that I told you about that we moved to was being able to have a duration of as long as we need to on our meetings. So we're going to go back over here. I'm going to go to resources because this is the first thing. Well, let me back up. What I want you to look at first of all is after you set up your account, basically your account information is going to look like this. Once it asks you all the questions, you sign in, you set everything up. Even if it's a free account, you're still going to do this. One of the things you want to take into consideration is making sure that your date and time is correct. Make sure it's on the central time zone, and then your basic information. After that, what I'm going to suggest is when you're in this section, if you see over here, profile, meetings, webinars, recordings, and settings. The first thing I want to go over right now, and I think the most important piece to setting up your Zoom account is going to settings, because everything that you're going to want to see in your actual Zoom screen is going to be affected by the settings. So if you click on settings, you're going to go up here and you're going to talk about meeting, because you want to talk about having meetings. So you're going to go in here, and what I like to do is starting, I think, in September, Zoom is going to require you to have a waiting room set up, or that you have a certain number of code for the people to come in. So I just set everybody up in a waiting room. So what that means is they are not able to go into the Zoom meeting until the host is there. So that's a little click. If you click this on, see how you click it on and it says your settings have been updated. So I like my waiting room to be on. So basically everyone is going into a waiting room, okay? Some of the other things that I'm just gonna skip through here and show you some of the things that I feel were important, that I feel that was needed, and especially if you're gonna use kiddos on this call, the Zoom calls, you wanna make sure that you have some things set up. You can go through any of these things and read about each one of them, but some of the things that are pretty important is if you're going to schedule a meeting, you can look at the participants, the hosts. Participants can change their particular videos. If you wanted, for instance, if you wanted to start a video when the kiddos came on, you would want to put that on. If the participants wanted to start a video, you could have that on. One of the things is the audio type. You're going to have telephone and computer audio. Some people may not be able to get on the Zoom call physically with their camera, but they may be able to log in either on their phone or something else. So I always turn on the telephone and audio. I don't allow anyone to join before I'm there, so I have that button turned off. Everyone that comes in does have a meeting code, which is the code that you would have used to get on to any Zoom call through us, through our department. That is on. Upcoming meeting reminders. This is for me. When I set up a meeting, I want the meeting, the reminder to be sent to me so that I don't forget about a call. When you're in a meeting, these are some things that are important. The one thing that I'm going to stress is the chat button. What this means is you will probably want to turn this off. And what that means is that you would not allow your kiddos to have chats with each other. So basically, they can't go in and chat and write things down, maybe being derogatory or funny or anything like that while you're doing a presentation or having a time where you have prayer. Another thing is the private chat. I have the private chat turned off, therefore two people can't have conversations with one another while you're doing a Zoom call. And of course, I don't save chats, I don't need to. So that's a really important piece, is the chat piece. So I would normally turn that off, but since I mostly work with adults, I leave that chat on, okay? Sound notifications. I like to know when someone comes in and comes out. So I have the sound set for everyone. And the reason I do that is so that I know if I've lost someone. Maybe someone accidentally got kicked off, and maybe it's a cycle. I know on one of our calls recently, we had some people saying they got kicked off. And so this is a way to tell me that if there's a lot of beeps that everybody's clicking off, it either means our content is terrible and we need to review that, or that something is kicking them off. So I'm going to keep going down a little bit because some of these things are important. Some of them are not that important. One of the things that I do have on is a feedback survey, and you do not have to have this on with your kiddos, but I like it for our adults so that they can let us know that, hey, that was a good meeting, it was a bad meeting, hey, there's some suggestions. And so I have it turned on for every meeting. Sometimes people do it, sometimes we don't. I also allow for me to have a co-host to take over in my meetings if I want to. You may have another adult that you want to be able to co-host with, and so if you want to, you can turn that on. You will have to specify who that person is later in the settings section. In addition to that, I have polls set up. So this allows me to host a survey of some sort of anything to the kiddos. It could be, or to the adults for me, but mostly for you to the kiddos. It would ask something that you can, ask them a question or have them share something. And so it's an easy way to do that. And if you have that turned on, in the bottom of your screen, you'll see I have it turned on down here. So my polls will show. I did a poll the other night on our theme, and as you can see, that's what this is. After you type it all in, you launch the poll, and then it will add up everything that everybody has put in, and then it will show you all the results. Then you can share those results. It's a pretty neat way to be able to do that. I like to show my meeting controls at the bottom, so I have everything down here, and we're going to go over those in just a few minutes. So that shows all my meeting controls at the bottom. I also like to show my Zoom window, which is over here during my screen share, so that I know that I'm not gone. Sometimes I'll be talking before and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, did I click the whole Zoom thing off or not? So that's also important. Let's see. I have right now set on my screen sharing, it is on, and that means I have it set where all participants can share. Now, I would suggest you can turn that on, but I would do only the host can share so that you don't have kiddos sharing things on the screen at inappropriate times or anything like that. I also have that who can start sharing when someone else is sharing. So I have my all participants clicked. So I don't want other participants to be able to share when someone else is sharing. I only put myself as being able to share. This is something you can decide on depending on whether or not you even have this screen sharing option open. Let's see here. Okay, I do have my whiteboard on. This is kind of helpful so that you can, write different things. It's a whiteboard basically. So you can go to sharing whiteboard with anyone. You could, you might want to do that with kiddos. You might not. That is something you want to kind of take into consideration. Let's see. Also, the remote control during screen sharing. The person who is sharing can allow others to control the shared content. I do not have that clicked. So what that means is if you're sharing and if you click this, that means anyone on your Zoom call can actually control your shared content. I would suggest you keep that off. If it's adults, that might be different, but with kids, I would turn that off. I also turn off the nonverbal feedback. I don't know if that's a positive thing for kids or not, but that is something you want to take into consideration. And then the meeting reactions, I do have the emojis turned on. And that is, you know, only for adults. Like I said, that might be something you want to take off. I do allow all of my participants, if they happen to get removed or remove themselves, I have this clicked on so that they can come back on. Sometimes we've found that sometimes connections are not that great and somebody might get kicked off or someone may need to join later. And I don't want them to miss the content even if they joined a little later. So that is something you can take into consideration. If you're doing something like a retreat or something that's specific to a time period and you want to make sure everybody that's on it gets the full effect, you can click that button to off. But for me, I like to keep that button on. Also, in addition to that, allowing participants to rename themselves. I have that on because I'm with adults. You may not want that on with kids. You might want, because they might come up with silly names and people can see that. And so you might want to make sure and change that. So as we move a little bit further down, there's some advanced settings in your meetings. One of the advanced settings that I have set up is the breakout rooms. And this will allow me as the host to assign people to breakout rooms. And if you notice, let's see, breakout rooms is sharing. I usually have breakout rooms down here. I'll have to find them here in just a few minutes. But normally I have 4 little boxes that allow me to have breakout rooms. And I'm not sure. Okay. Let's see there. Okay, so the breakout rooms will allow you to assign and put people in breakout rooms if you want to. When scheduling, or you don't have to do it when you're scheduling. You can actually do it at different times. So breakout rooms are really important if you want to go into smaller groups, and that will normally show down here on your section. Oh, see, there we go, breakout rooms. So it's going to allow me, and so what it does, it creates the breakout rooms for me. And I can assign however many people into a room. I can tell them to do it automatically, or I can tell them I want to do it manually. And then I create how many rooms that I want. So you can do this individually on each training, or you can do it and set it so that it's there. One of the most important things that I learned is the breakout room over here, you cannot turn this on if the remote control is on for one-on-one support. So make sure, like if I have this on, I am not able to be able to turn on the breakout room. So just remember that. Let's see. I'm going to keep going down here. Virtual backgrounds is another thing that I think is important that you might want to look at for having kiddos on your call. I leave it open for adults because we kind of like to play with it. And I would suggest you turn that off because the kiddos can allow their put different virtual backgrounds on them. And in some of our Zoom calls with our DYLT and our kiddos, we've had the kiddos kind of change their background at different times while we're on Zoom. And it kind of takes away sometimes from the content or what we're trying to do if we're having a prayer service or we're having something where a kid is sharing something really important and someone changes their background and then everybody starts laughing. So they can also use pictures out of their own computer. So I would suggest at the beginning, maybe don't allow them to use virtual backgrounds. And then if you choose later, maybe you're doing a themed call or you're doing something that pertains to something specific and ask them to all come in with a certain virtual background, I would click that on. These are things you can go back and forth with. So just remember that. I keep it on because I'm with adults. You might want to turn it off because you'll be with kids. All right. And as the little thing says here, video filters, I would also turn that off. All right, so coming down a little bit further down, I allow live streaming. We haven't done a lot of this yet, but this is something you can look into. But as we're looking at all these settings, there's a ton of settings. You're going to want to play with these. You're going to want to go into this. But for me, the most important thing to set up for my first Zoom call was going into my settings and really figuring out what needs to be turned on and what needs to be turned off. If it's turned off in your settings, you won't see it down here at the bottom on your page at the bottom of your Zoom screen. So settings was the first place I went to after my profile. Then what you can do is go to recordings. What I've done is I have cloud recordings set automatically. So what happens is every time we do a Zoom call, it automatically records. Then it sends me an email, and then I go into here and I can actually share it. I can go in and I can download it, or I can delete it. And to me, this is the easiest way to keep track of everything that's going on. And then I can, of course, upload it and send it out to you guys. So with the free account, you don't have a lot of recording time. So what you're going to want to do is go in there and download it or share it and then delete it. One of the things our office is doing is we are actually downloading it and then we're uploading it to YouTube, because once I delete it off of here, it's not accessible anymore with the link. So we are downloading it and then uploading it to YouTube so that it will be there for anybody to look at. The next thing that I think is important is meetings. Now, I've had a little issue with this, but I think I've got it figured out now. If you want to schedule a meeting, you can schedule a meeting by doing this. You go to a meeting and you put a topic, and I'm just going to say Zoom training. All right, so I'm setting up a Zoom training, and it's kind of self-explanatory, so that's going to be it. I'm going to say I'm going to do it today. We're going to do it today, and then we're going to do it at, say, 3 o'clock, okay? 1 hour duration. I'm on Central Time Zone, and I'm not going to do a recurring meeting. Registration is not required. What I want to do is I continue to want to use my personal ID, which is right here. If I did this, what would happen? It would generate an automatic different meeting ID, but I want to use the same meeting ID that I always use. I also want to use the same passcode that I always use. And I want to set up that there is a waiting room. So I also want to make sure that I'm on video and my participants are on video. I also want to make sure that they have flexibility of coming in with the phone as well as their computer audio. So I click both. And then I do not want them to be able to come in before me. And I am setting up that they are muted as they come in, and I'm recording automatically. And I'm recording either, I can do it onto my local computer or I can do it onto the cloud. Right now I'm doing it onto the cloud. So these, if I also wanted to give an alternative host, I could put their email in there, but that person has to have a Zoom account. So if you have other youth ministers that you want to be able to be the host, you need to make sure they have a Zoom account and you use that email. And so basically I'm going to save this. So when I save it, it is actually now in. Oh, let's see. I ended the start time. Hang on a second. I got to change this. The start time, what does it say? Enter a start time and duration for your event. So that's time entered. It's later than the current time. Okay, so hold on here. Let's just do this tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Okay, so let's do that. We're going to save it. And so basically what happens now is it's telling me that I can add this to my Google, my Outlook, or my Yahoo. And I can also send this as an invited link. And then, of course, if I wanted to change something, I could actually delete this meeting. I could edit this meeting, or I could join it now. So this is how you go in to do meetings. So then I'm going to go in, and now I've got meetings set for different times. I've got one set up for a Zoom meeting tomorrow, and then I've got one set up on the 24th for a Facebook meeting. And so what I can do is I can join those meetings right there, or of course I can just log into Zoom with my meeting ID number. So those are the most important things that I am going to cover today. And I want to just refresh, go back over to here. This is me. I'm going to click on it. That is me as if I have joined. I have set up an account. That brings you to all this information, brings you to your profile. The second step would go to settings. That's where you would fix all of the little buttons that you want to fix, okay? Then in addition to that, I would go and figure out how to set up meetings if I wanted to do that, to schedule a meeting. I could also look at meeting templates. I could look at my personal meeting room or previous meetings. So then making sure that I have my recordings. This is how you double check to see where your recordings are, or if you, you can go look at the recordings you already have. So I do want to just tell you this is a very simple presentation. I also want to remind you that there are resources up here. Let me move my little picture down. These resources, it allows you to watch video tutorials. Video tutorials are awesome. I went in and I probably spent 2 days on the video tutorials. And what I did is I used my computer to log into these video tutorials, and I used my iPad or my phone to follow along as if I was actually doing what they were showing me to do. So that helped me. I'm a visual learner, and so that allowed me to be able to follow along on my iPad while I was following along on the tutorial on my computer. And I think the other thing that was very helpful for me was being able to understand the settings and to show my icons always down at the bottom so that I can easily go in and change any of these things at any time. So I want to just let you know that I am very excited about Zoom, and if you have any questions for myself or anybody on our team, we'd be happy to help you with this. And I just, we're gonna update this and put it, we'll send it to the link to you as well as putting it on our YouTube channel. And so I will answer any questions that you might have. If you want to send me emails, call me, whatever. I just want you to know that it's if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I joke with you guys about that all the time because that is very true. So thank you for joining. And I'm going to stop sharing our screen. And here we are. And I just want to say thank you guys and good luck.